On this edition of Backstage Pass with Lia Chang, Warrior star and activist Perry Young and I caught up over lunch at Miss Mamie's Spoonbread 2. We chatted about his surprise return as Father John in Season 3, the New York premiere of Cayley Sows the Harvest, and directing a Stop Asian Hate video.
Hi, I'm Perry Young, and welcome to one of my favorite restaurants in Harlem, New York City, Mamie's Spoonbread Cafe. Come and check out what we're having today. Some authentic fried chicken, barbecue ribs, collard greens, mac and cheese, and I think that's candied yam. Oh my God, I love this place. And we're gonna talk about Warrior in a bit, as soon as we take a bite.
I'm so excited that Warrior has just launched its season 3 on June 29th, and I got to see the first episode. Now, at the time, you had a wonderful Q&A with Andrew Koji, the star of Warrior. What was it like to go back to South Africa?
I just feel so blessed that I have a place to call a second home, and that's Cape Town, South Africa. I mean, we filmed for over 4 months, season 1, and then another 4 to 5 months. That's me. So some of the higher ups on the list would film for like maybe up to 6 months. And to spend that amount of time in the city, you get to really know it, and the people there that we work with. So the locals, the background cast, the crew, they're just so friendly, and we go out with them. So to spend that amount of time in a city, to work in a city, and to know the people, you really become a part of it. So to go back to Cape Town for the season 3, I really felt like I came home again, which is a surprise to me. To go, wow, I feel like I'm home. And it was a really pleasant surprise.
Cool.
Like I felt comfortable with Cape Town.
Right.
South Africa has a reputation for being violent, and it can be in some cities because it's one of the most wealthy countries in South Africa, but it also has its problems, because of that. Its history of apartheid, and there's a lot of rich and a lot of poor, and there's a big gap in between. But to come back into Warrior and know that our show contributes to a better culture and society in South Africa, because we actually have to hire local black people into jobs that are upwardly career advancing jobs. So we have hired people into handling the camera, technical people in the crew, lighting, miking, recording boom. We hire those people, and they have to be black, because it's like to make things equal, right? It's something that is a serious conversation in South Africa, and it's not so much a conversation in America, which is so odd, right? We sort of deny affirmative action in America.
Did you have any of this?
Oh no, you go first. Everything is so good, right?
I'll just take a little bit of it.
No, go for it, whatever you want. So coming back into it, I was really just excited to see friends and family, and family meaning cast, Warrior cast, and crew. And know that we're giving something back to the community. It was just an absolute pleasure to when I first read the script, that the writers, to be experiencing like the creativity of the writers, to know when to bring Father June and Young June back together, and it was just a perfect time. It was just the perfect dramatic and emotional time to bring father and son back together in a historical moment in American history.
Now, for those who have not seen Warrior, why have you not been watching Warrior? We are on season 3 after all. But for those who have not seen Warrior, or who are new to Warrior, let's put it that way, they are new to Warrior, who is Father John?
Father June is a leader of the notorious Hapway Tong, and is a Tong that's gotten together to have power to fight against the Ducks in Chinatown. Well, it means a lot to me. It means a lot to the cast in general. I mean, season 1, when we did season 1 and season 1 was airing, we were shooting season 2 in South Africa, so we couldn't have a red carpet. And when season 2 aired, it was during the pandemic, so we couldn't have another event. Everybody was quarantined. So when it got greenlit, we were just like, oh my God, we can't believe we're shooting this, we're back. And so this was the actual first time we've had promotional events. And this is a time when Max was actually a new streaming platform that has taken over the old Cinemax, where Warrior was born, and so they're actually putting money into promoting it. And I think they've seen, because during the pandemic, how there was a huge rise in our fans. Our numbers just blew up because like that's when everybody was stuck at home and like with nothing to watch, and suddenly they discovered Warrior. And people were writing, where was the show? How come I haven't seen it? And why isn't there a season 3? So the fans spoke out, and the showrunners were still in touch with the creators, the studio heads at HBO Max. And it took the entire village to make it happen. So because of everyone, we got a season 3.
Yay!
Yeah.
Now, Perry, you have been playing a lot of amazing fathers lately, and which is my lovely segue into The Harvest. And the last time I talked to you, it was going to be the world premiere screening at the Santa Barbara International Film Festival, and The Harvest has played at many film festivals since then. But what's really exciting is from January, when I first spoke to you, we had the Academy Awards and a huge explosion of Asian American Pacific Islander representation winning.
Oh my! I mean, it was so amazing. I mean, that moment when they announced Ki Hui Kwan winning, I cried. I mean, first I just screamed, and then I cried. And then watching him accept the Oscar and thanking his mom in the way that he did, I was just like, oh my God, I can't even talk right now. And then Michelle Yeoh winning. And I literally thought, I never thought I would see this moment. And this was an AAPI NH moment, because the previous films that won Parasite or films that were nominated were foreign Asian films, or The Last Emperor that was nominated in the late 80s or early 90s was an Italian film, and none of the actors were nominated. Everybody but the actors were nominated in The Last Emperor. And then with Parasite winning, it was like a glimpse of the possibilities. And then Minari winning, but like a best film nomination, best director nomination, with the supporting actress winning, as a Korean woman winning the Oscar. I mean, it was a glimpse into the possibilities. But when Everything Everywhere All at Once won, it was like literally I just couldn't speak for a moment. So it was our moment.
Yes, the moment is
Finally,
now.
finally.
And what's really exciting about this particular moment is the 46th Annual Asian American International Film Festival is happening at the end of July, and your movie, where you play the father in The Harvest, Cayley So's The Harvest, will be screening at the Quad Theater on July 29th at 4:30. So
Amazing. Oh, bravo. You got it all there correctly.
now, let's talk about the making of the film. And I was very lucky because I saw the trailer. I have to say that your role is pretty nominatable. So,
Wow.
here you go.
Well, I mean, earlier you said that I played some amazing fathers, but I don't know if they were amazing in the sense that I just think they were real. They were authentic.
Well, okay, authentic human beings. You got to play authentic human beings, and for Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander artists, I've played a lot of hookers, maids, victims, and gang killers in my time. So
Right.
I applaud being able to play a human being.
Absolutely. So, I mean, Father June was still kind of a caricature because our show Warrior is like a pulpy
Well,
genre.
very heightened.
Drama, right? So we have fun with that world, that genre. But The Harvest is sort of has a realism and naturalism to it. And when I read the script by Dua Moa, who was an actor in Clint Eastwood's Gran Torino, it just jumped off the page at me as authentic, real human being. And having just lived through the pandemic and seeing how our Asian elders did not have a voice in the society, I saw that I needed to give his father a voice that we hadn't seen before. And it simply was a voice of authenticity. This is a real man. I didn't have to force anything. And the way that Doyle wrote it was like, this is just my father. This is how I experienced him. And it was for me to bring those pages, those words into life.
Your great son is back.
Oh, you're a handsome man now.
Han, you came home?
Yeah, it's been a while.
How was life in the Bay?
It's hard writing and working at the same time. You?
You're not new here, man. You know, everyone's just doing the usual. Getting married, dropping babies left and right.
Do you have a girlfriend?
Yeah.
Is she Hmong?
Yeah, Ty. Is she mom?
I mean, our parents turned out okay.
Yeah. Miserable, suffocating, and loveless marriage.
Aiyah, you old man. You only know how to lecture, but you don't know how to listen.
Dr. Williams and I are a little frustrated with your father, Ty.
We're crossing fingers for a match, but if he refuses treatment, he might be deemed as non-compliant.
You know you and Dad are sort of alike, right? You're both so stubborn.
Take medicine. Don't eat this, don't eat that. What good does it do if I can't do what I want?
You don't know how to walk in anyone else's shoes but your own.
We feel it's time for you to step up.
But I have a life in San Francisco.
You both have no problem using others for whatever you want.
That's how you see me.
Dad, no one talk about it!
Real love is defined by the sacrifices that we make. It's a choice. It's not an obligation.
To make your family proud.
It's such a privilege and a special honor to see to be able to bring our Asian elders, to give them a voice in what was historically an area that was, they were banned from. They were muzzled. They didn't have a voice. So, yeah, The Harvest is a special film, and I hope you all come out to see something that a writer wrote from his own agency because he thought Hollywood will never give him this role. Generally speaking, the overt story is a father-son conflict, generational conflict. That involves the whole family, the wife and the daughter also. So we have to find out how one generation can still find a way to unite with another generation with different set of values. With the first generation, you're bringing a set of values from another country, and that might not assimilate well into America. So when you have a generation that's born in America, how can you accept each other and find a way forward with love? And I think essentially, this story highlights the Hmong community, but it really resonates with everyone, regardless of culture. If you have a family, if you have a mother and a father that you wrestle with, I think you will identify with this film. Billy Asai, who's a veteran musician, a professional musician in the industry, wrote this song, Stop Asian Hate. And when I heard it, I thought, Billy, we have to record this song. So together with Richard Ebihara and Jun Suenaga, they're all different generations of Japanese American. We all felt that our common bond was that we have seen our elders attacked in the media. And what can we do about it? And Richard, Billy, and June, being Japanese American, they've known this since their Japanese Americans were incarcerated in World War II, or they say interned sometimes, but it's really incarceration. And I've seen this since the 1870s. With the Chinese Exclusion Act, it's like, how can we take this moment of the pandemic and actually use it? Because this is our opportunity, again, to exercise our voice. It's like we can't hold back anymore. We can't be puppets of the media or conform to the pressures of being the model minority when we're being attacked. So as artists and musicians, we use our art and our music to touch people. we're not politicians in the sense that we don't write bills and things like that and pass legislation, but we can influence culture through empathy and create change that way. So we wrote this song, Stop Asian Hate, and again, to give voice to our elders who are being attacked. And we want everybody to realize that the only way to get through this is to come together with love. Because attacking another person for whatever reason, because you're being attacked, is only fighting fire with fire, and fire gets bigger that way. So we're just standing on the ancestors of our shoulders of the civil rights, and to say that we got to come together in solidarity and do this with love.
So I know I've asked you this question before, but I wonder if it's different given the past few months. What does it mean for you to be an Asian American theater maker and creator in this time?
Well, that's a tough question because it's my life's work, and it's important. It's daunting. It's also a privilege and an honor to be able to tell stories that can affect change. I don't take it lightly. I don't think that I have a big voice, but I think that my work does affect people. And even if it's one person, like I've lived through that, now that we've lived through the pandemic, and I've witnessed my community come together to say whatever it takes, we're gonna deliver food to our elders because they can't leave the apartment. I've seen people form groups to walk seniors from the subway to walk them home. And if they can do that, I can write stories, I can write songs, I can perform in theater, choose theater productions and film productions that makes it safer for us, that gives us a better image in America. So it's more important than ever. It's actually helped me focus my purpose more, is to be able to use my art in the words of our favorite activist, my art is my sword of justice, right? Corky Lee, his camera was the sword of justice. And that's what we do, right? I think you're doing that.
Yes, absolutely.
I can see you doing that, Lia,
Absolutely.
I'm inspired by your work in the very same way. Is that we have to come together and support each other because we are this village,
Right.
in this community, in this world.
Yes, yes, and yes. Thank you for joining me for this edition of Backstage Pass with Lia Chang. And I look forward to seeing you on July 29th at the Quad Theater to see The Harvest.
Thank you.
Betty Shamieh's Malvolio, starring Alan Gilmore and Tony Award nominee John Andrew Morrison, is Classical Theater of Harlem's free Shakespeare at the Richard Rogers Amphitheater in Marcus Garvey Park, with performances through July 29th. I sat down with Alan, who plays the title character, playwright Betty Shamieh, and choreographer Del Howlett. Everyone needs to come and see Classical Theater of Harlem's Malvolio, starring Alan Gilmore here, and a host of theater legends, including John Andrew Morrison, Marjorie Johnson, Perry Gaffney, David Ryan Smith, and Stephanie Barry.
Fabulous cast, beautiful people, so beautiful.
Amazing costumes.
Amazing costume, amazing set. The special effects. There's a big digital wall that is the back of the stage that they make do in amazing things. There's a whale in the ocean.
Wage this war with me, fight the right battle. The one raging within yourself. The battle between who you are and who you want to be.
Betty Shamieh, who is behind us dressed in red, maybe you can see her, she's camera ready now. She says that she wrote it 9 years ago, but when they did 12th Night last year in Marcus Garvey Park at the Richard Rogers Amphitheater, of course she saw it, and they were like, we've got a Malvolio here, that you might be interested in. And so, long story short, she was like, yeah, that's my guy. And they were like, let's do that play.
What does it mean for you to have Classical Theater of Harlem commission and produce Malvolio at this time?
Well, it's absolutely a dream come true, especially in a time where theaters are closing and shutting down and doing smaller and smaller plays. And I think it's exactly what I got in this game to do, which is a big celebratory story that has poetry and dance and movement of the soul. And so it for me, as a woman of color, responding to the canon and kind of making it my own was really, really a leap of faith. And I actually started working on it before I was in residence at the Classical Theater of Harlem, and I just stayed around and hung out. Yes. And they produced 12th Night, and I was like, hey, what about my sequel? And then I interviewed Alan, and they announced it at the same time, and I video recorded Ty saying he was doing my show, and I still don't believe it, and I don't believe it now. So here I am on the eve of our opening night in disbelief of the scale and the kind of operatic nature and the deep, deep commitment to giving a living author the kind of love and support and finances and collaborators that you do Old Dead White Guys.
What should viewers expect to see when they come?
Lia, it's not the same. If they saw 12th Night last year, they don't have, it doesn't matter. You can come and see it without having seen that. But if you saw 12th Night last year, you'll be like, oh, wow, he's changed. This is not the same Malvolio that, we saw storm off the stage. It's really because Betty, the playwright, Betty Shamieh, she just fell in love with the character of Malvolio when she read 12th Night as an 8th grader or something like that. She felt such a kinship that she wanted to write a play about that character, in a sense, to set his universe right, if that's not telling too much, because at the end of 12th Night, he goes off almost crazed with pain and the need for revenge for a very humiliating prank that was played on him, practical joke. So she has written this play, and it doesn't really begin with somebody who's still in the throes of pain and madness. It's 20 years later, and it's very interesting because you see somebody who has done some work on themselves. They are still not whole, so that's where the story begins. They're still not whole, and we're hoping that they find wholeness during the run of the events in Malvolio.
Now, when we chatted about how rehearsals were going, you told me that you were having some challenges because the cast that is assembled around you, with you, well, I'm going to let you talk about that.
They're hilarious, and I think of myself as a clown, essentially, Lia, as a comedian. So, and in this show, I am that straight man fulcrum around which the clowns fly and bounce, and there's some brilliant, brilliant clowns in this show. There's some funny, funny stuff in this show. If I start naming names, I'll name everybody, but particularly you have to be looking at Jam, John Andrew Morrison, who of course was a Tony nominee for Strange Loop, plays King Chadleo. That's a new character that Betty created for this show, and there's some other holdovers from 12th Night. Chadleo's son, Furtado, is played by J.D. Mollison, hilarious. A wonderful fool/festie, played by Matthew Harris, and just a lot of really zany, quirky, crazy stuff.
Hi all, I'm Del Howlett, and I am the choreographer for Malvolio, Betty Shamieh's play, here at Marcus Garvey Park at the Richard Rogers Amphitheater. Come out and check us out. We are going to jam all month.
What did you draw from in terms of your inspiration?
Well, Betty's writing is so vivid, and so it screamed out to be animated and to be vivified in that way. But I also think when I talked to Ty and Ian, the directors, co-directors of the show, they talked a lot about this design that had to do with Afrofuture. And so pulling on all of the different dance styles that come out of African and African American and diasporic traditions. You'll see social dance in the show, you'll see some step dancing in the show. And so those are really the things that really inspired me. And then some kind of contemporary movement that kind of came from me. So it's kind of a mix of movements, but that Afrofuture is really the idea that I've kind of held on to.
Oh, and to be directed by Ian Belknap.
Ian Belknap, who is an alum like I am of the acting company, and Ty Jones, who is the artistic director of Classical Theater of Harlem. It was a dream. It was really a dream come true. And to be playing, a role that I played, the title of the role that I played last year, to be, returning to that character, though a little bit different this year, has been a dream. And the other thing that I wanted to say, and it is very interesting about where this play begins, because it is 20 years after the events of Twelfth Night finish, and we all change, Lia. In 20 years, so you can say, "Oh, he's not the same Malvolio that we saw," but none of us is the same person from 20 years ago. What I want Betty to do is write the prequel to the sequel.
We will see you here at Marcus Garvey Park